By the time Tessa Rourke was locked out of the nursery she had kept alive for 12 years, the only things in her truck that truly belonged to her were a coffee mug and a spiral notebook. Her brothers kept the greenhouses, the delivery routes, the propagation tables. 36,000 young trees she had grafted, watered, and carried through winter. They gave her until noon to collect her clothes. At 4:07 that afternoon, the gate code stopped working. 2 days later, Tessa spent the last $18 in her checking account on 19 acres of rock, thorn, and scrub oak that no bank would finance and no farmer wanted. The property had no barn, no well anyone trusted, no flat ground worth planting. It had one collapsed stone building, a rusted gate, and a dark opening in the hillside that breathed cold air even in July. People in town called it the Empty Hill. 11 months later, refrigerated vans were lined up along that same rusted gate before sunrise. And the brothers who had told Tessa she was nothing without their land stood across the road trying to understand why chefs, grocers, and farm buyers were waiting to enter a property they had laughed at. Because the hill was not empty. It was alive in a way no one had bothered to measure. And the old man who sold it for $18 had spent 43 years waiting for someone who could hear it breathe. Tessa was 32 when her father died. She was the youngest of 3, and the only one who had stayed through the bad seasons. Her brothers handled sales when prices were high, and talked strategy when company came over. Tessa handled the work that did not look impressive from the porch. She monitored soil temperatures before dawn. She tracked graft failure by rootstock. She knew which greenhouse wall lost heat first in a north wind. She could tell from the smell of a propagation bench whether the misting schedule was too heavy. At 17, she began keeping a spiral notebook because the nursery records were scattered across feed receipts, envelopes, and the backs of seed catalogs. By 25, that notebook had become the real operating system of Rourke Nursery. It contained 12 years of frost dates, labor hours, customer patterns, survival rates, and small warnings nobody noticed until they became expensive. Her father trusted her judgment, but he trusted handshakes more than documents. The nursery, the house, and the acreage were held inside an old family partnership. Her father had always said the 3 children would divide it evenly. He never changed the paperwork. When he died, the controlling shares passed to the 2 sons. 6 weeks later, they held a meeting without her, voted to terminate her management position, and told her the house on the property was company housing. She had 1 day to leave. Tessa could have sued. A lawyer told her she might even win, but winning would require a retainer larger than her savings, months of discovery, and the kind of energy that disappears when grief and betrayal arrive at the same time. So she packed her clothes, her coffee mug, and the notebook her brothers had never opened because they believed the nursery lived in the greenhouses. It did not. It lived in the decisions made before anyone else saw a problem. For 2 nights, Tessa slept in her truck behind a closed feed store. On the 3rd morning, she drove south with no destination and less than half a tank of gas. That was when she saw the sign. 19 acres. Best offer. Ask the White House. The sign leaned against a cedar post at the mouth of a gravel lane. Beyond it, the land rose sharply into a low limestone hill covered in briars, scrub oak, and tangled honeysuckle. A collapsed smokehouse sat near the road. The fence sagged in 3 directions. Rusted sheet metal flashed through the weeds. There was no pasture, no crop ground, no visible reason to stop. Tessa stopped anyway. The White House belonged to Silas Greer, an 84-year-old retired stonemason, with a bent left hand and eyes that seemed to measure people before he answered them. He listened while Tessa explained that she had almost no money. Then he looked past her toward the hill. How much is almost none? $18. Silas nodded once. That will do. Tessa thought she had misheard him. Silas went inside and returned with a deed, a county map, and a fountain pen that leaked blue ink onto his thumb. He had owned the property for 43 years. During that time, a quarry company had offered him enough money to move into town. A cell provider had offered to lease the ridge. A developer had wanted the road frontage. Silas had refused all three. He told Tessa none of that. He only gave her one condition. Do not board the lower arch. Tessa glanced toward the black opening in the hillside. Why? Silas tightened the cap on the pen. Because a closed hill rots. That was all he said. Tessa signed. Silas took the crumpled bills, counted them carefully, and handed $1 back. You will need coffee. She slept in the truck on her new property that night. Not because the land felt like home, it did not. It felt like a mistake with trees on it. But mistakes were at least hers to make. At sunrise, she opened the spiral notebook and wrote 3 lines. 19 acres. Steep. Cold air from lower opening. Then she began walking. The hill had been used hard and abandoned badly. There were old tire ruts near the road, a half-buried manure spreader, and broken glass around the smokehouse. The upper slope was too rocky for conventional crops. The lower ground stayed damp long after the surrounding ditches dried. Tessa spent the first month doing what she had always done. She observed before she changed anything. She mapped the slope, marked every seep, measured shade at 3 times of day, recorded the temperature near the stone arch each morning and afternoon. Outside, July temperatures climbed above 94 degrees. 6 feet inside the arch, the air stayed near 57. That was not normal. The opening had once been framed with hand-cut limestone blocks. Behind it, a narrow passage disappeared under the hill. The first 20 feet were clogged with fallen boards, leaves, and rusted wire. Tessa cleared only enough to walk safely. Beyond the debris, the passage opened into a room, then a second, then a third. The chambers were not natural caves. Someone had cut them into the limestone by hand. Old cedar slats lined the walls. Iron hooks hung from the ceiling. A shallow stone channel carried clear seep water along one side, even in the hottest week of the summer. The rooms stayed cool enough that Tessa could see her breath when she first stepped in from the sun. The town had not sold her 19 useless acres. It had overlooked a climate-controlled building hidden under one of them. But Tessa still had no business. A cold room was not income. It was only a question. She took measurements for 14 straight days. Temperature varied by less than 3 degrees. Humidity stayed above 88%. The seep water tested clean. The limestone walls absorbed heat slowly and released it even more slowly. At night, Tessa sat in the truck and searched agricultural extension papers on her phone until the battery died. Root vegetables, cheese aging, seed storage, cut flowers. Then she found a report on specialty mushroom production. The ideal fruiting conditions were written in numbers already sitting in her notebook. Cool air, high humidity, low light, steady temperature. The hill had been doing that work for longer than she had been alive. Tessa called the county extension office. The first specialist assumed she was describing a damp basement. He changed his expression when he stepped into the second chamber and watched his thermometer settle at 56 degrees. He checked the stone channel, measured the airflow, tested the walls for contamination. Then he stood still for a long moment. You know what this would cost to build above ground? No, more than you have. That part I knew. He smiled. You may have the cheapest fruiting rooms in the state. That sentence gave Tessa hope. Hope, unfortunately, is expensive. She sold the truck's spare tire, her father's old pocket watch, and the only piece of jewelry she owned. She used the money to buy 60 mushroom blocks, a used stainless rack, gloves, sprayers, and a battery light. Her first crop was blue oyster mushrooms. They emerged in layered gray fans so clean and delicate they looked impossible against the rough limestone. Tessa harvested 38 pounds. A chef at a small restaurant bought every ounce. The next crop sold before it fruited. By the third month, Tessa had a waiting list of 4 buyers. Then the hill nearly ruined her. Success made her move too fast. She ordered 300 additional blocks and packed the first chamber wall to wall. For 6 days, everything looked perfect. On the 7th, she noticed a sweet smell. Not earthy, wrong. White growth had turned green along the bottom row. By evening, the color had spread to 12 blocks. By the next morning, it had reached 40. Contamination. Tessa carried the infected blocks outside one by one, sealed them under plastic, scrubbed the racks, washed the floor, and watched 2 months of borrowed money collapse into a pile beside the road. 70% of the new crop was lost. The chef who had promised a standing order called twice. Tessa did not answer. Her brothers heard about the failure before she told anyone. The older one arrived in a clean pickup and did not step through the gate. He lowered the window. "We can give you some hours at the nursery," he said. "Seasonal, until you get sensible." Tessa looked at the hill behind her, then at the man sitting in the truck she had helped pay for. "No," he shrugged. "You cannot grow a business in a hole." After he drove away, Tessa sat on the stone threshold of the lower arch until dark. For the first time, she considered selling. The quarry company had left an old contact number with Silas years earlier. The land was worth far more as broken rock than it was as a failed farm. One phone call could erase the debt. One signature could turn the hill into gravel. Then a dry oak leaf skittered across the ground. It did not blow away from the arch. It slid toward it. Tessa watched another leaf move, then another. The hill was pulling air inward. She stood. Inside the first chamber, the air felt heavy. In the second, heavier still. She held a strip of tissue near the passage. It barely moved. The cold rooms were not failing because they were damp. They were failing because they could not exhale. Silas's warning returned with perfect clarity. A closed hill rots. Tessa had not boarded the lower arch, but in clearing the property, she had stacked brush against a line of stones high on the north slope. At dawn, she climbed toward them. The stones formed a circle around a narrow vertical shaft. Its iron cover had collapsed under leaves, roots, and 40 years of debris. Tessa cleared it by hand. The last mat of wet leaves came free with a tearing sound. A column of cold, stale air rose from the opening. Far below, inside the chambers, the tissue strip snapped toward the passage. The hill took a breath. The old builders had not simply carved rooms into limestone. They had engineered a passive ventilation system. Cool air entered through the lower arch. Warm, stale air rose through the upper shaft. The seep kept humidity high. The stone kept temperature steady. No motors, no refrigeration, no monthly power bill. But the system only worked if both ends remained open. Tessa cleaned the shaft, reduced the rack density, and installed simple screens instead of sealed doors. She tracked carbon dioxide twice a day and wrote the readings beside the temperature and humidity. Her next 60 blocks fruited clean. Then 100. Then 240. She added lion's mane, chestnut mushrooms, and a small run of maitake. The chambers produced slowly but consistently. Chefs noticed the texture first. Grocery buyers noticed the shelf life. Customers noticed that Tessa's lion's mane arrived the same week, every week, even during heat waves that forced other growers to cut production. By month 8, she supplied 5 restaurants and 2 cooperative groceries. By month 10, the hill was producing more than 1,100 pounds a month from rooms nobody in town had considered useful. Tessa hired 2 people, not managers, neighbors. One was a retired mechanic who built rolling racks from scrap steel. The other was a 19-year-old single mother who needed work that ended before school pickup. Tessa paid them every Friday before she paid herself. The refrigerated vans began arriving before dawn, because the harvest had to move while the mushrooms were still cool. That was the line of vehicles her brother saw from the road. They came together this time. No clean excuses, no concern about optics. They walked through the gate, stared at the racks rolling out of the lower arch, and listened as a buyer from St. Louis discussed adding 300 pounds a week. The older brother waited until the buyer left. Then he made an offer for the property. It was more money than Tessa had ever seen written on one page. She read every line. Her brothers mistook silence for temptation. "We can scale this," the younger one said. "We have land, equipment, distribution." Tessa closed the folder. "You had all of that before." Neither man answered. She handed the offer back. "The hill is not for sale." The older brother's face tightened. "You paid $18 for it." "17, Tessa said. "Silas gave me coffee money." Then she rolled the next rack toward the waiting van. Silas visited the hill in early autumn. Tessa had not seen him since the sale. He walked slowly through the first chamber, touched the cedar slats, and stood beneath the open ventilation shaft while cool air moved past his face. "You found it," he said. "The shaft? The reason." Tessa waited. Silas told her his father had used the chambers to store apples before mechanical refrigeration reached the county. During the Second World War, a neighbor had grown button mushrooms there for local hotels. After that, the rooms were forgotten. Silas had kept the land because every buyer wanted the hill for what could be removed from it. Stone, road frontage, tower access. No one had asked what the hill already knew how to do. "Why sell it to me?" Tessa asked. Silas looked at the notebook in her hand. "Because you measured the air before you priced the rock." For the first time in months, Tessa had no number to write down. So she wrote the sentence instead. The business grew. Not explosively, that was never the point. It grew the way the hill worked. Steadily, quietly, without wasting energy proving itself to people standing outside. 3 years later, the chambers supplied 12 restaurants, 4 grocers, and a regional food distributor. The ventilation system still had no motor. The seep still ran through the stone channel. The temperature still held within a narrow band through summer heat and winter ice. Tessa kept the first contaminated rack near the entrance, not as a warning against failure, as proof that the hill had explained the problem before she understood the language. On hot afternoons, cold mist still gathered at the lower arch. People driving past sometimes slowed down when they saw it. They saw a dark opening in a worthless hill. Tessa saw temperature, airflow, humidity, timing, and a living system that had survived decades of being misread. Her brothers had believed value was whatever could be inherited, fenced, or sold. Tessa learned that value was sometimes hidden in the work a place was already doing for free. The hill had never been empty. It had been breathing in the dark, waiting for someone quiet enough to hear it.